we'll deliver an adjustment, and there'll be a huge audible release, and the patient will just start to cry uncontrollably. And they let that emotion out, and the body just kind of starts to heal from that aspect. At the core of chiropractic, right, the idea is to optimize the body, to allow the body to express its innate ability to heal itself. An injury, a trauma, toxin, a thought, a tight tissue, you're going to have some type of compression or ischemia, lack of blood flow, oxygen, negative energy, negative emotions. That's going to affect everything from posture, the way your body holds tension, and the way you move, which will affect how you feel. Part of our job is to find the reason why that's happening and release that or open that up so the body can start to kind of do its job.
Our potential, it's exponential.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another podcast. We are here at the farm, and I've got Dr. Matt. Dr. Matt, thanks for coming.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, man. So you're here to talk about your chiropractic practice.
I am. I think to understand my practice, too, you got to get into why I got into chiropractic in the first place. So I'm a Florida man. I'm born and raised in Florida, born in Melbourne, lived all over the state. Had the fortunate opportunity to have a sporting background with my family and got the chance to play college football at University of Colorado, and then kind of came back in. Parents have always been in the medical system, so I grew up very Western on the medical side. I have since obviously diverged pretty far from that. And just through, I think part of what the idea was, or the reason that drove me that direction, is I had a bunch of friends and teammates over the years that just I saw continually fall victim to that medical system where get injured, have surgery, get injured, have surgery, just never got out of that cycle. The idea for me coming out of school was I thought med school, surgeon was the answer. Had a couple opportunities to shadow some surgeons, actually passed out during a total knee replacement.
No way.
Yeah. Full on. I didn't expect it. It's a friend of my family's. We got in for a total knee replacement. I thought I was just going to come shadow. He puts the giant hood on. It's like a spacesuit, like Darth Vader type costume. So I'm in there scrubbed in, and he calls me over. Hey, Matt, come here, hold the knee open. So I got the forceps, the knee sitting wide open. It's like 7:30 in the morning. Wasn't quite ready for that. And then he takes out the bone saw and just starts going to town. And that smell, I've dealt blood. I've been in surgeries where they burn stuff and cauterize stuff, but that smell of the bone hit the fan that gives you oxygen right into my nose. And all I remember saying is, I don't feel good. And then next thing I knew was their army dragging me out of the OR.
Whoa.
So
You were
got myself together.
You were awake and you blacked out.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Full on just fell backwards. Luckily not on the patient, but just backwards.
When you're laughing now. I love it. When was that? After football at Boulder?
I think just before my senior year. So,
wow.
Almost 20 years ago now.
That set you on the path.
Yeah, well, I thought med school, right? And then I kind of went through a couple of instances like that and figured maybe not the best fit. So finished football. When you're done with football, everyone thinks you're going to the NFL, right? That's usually the goal for most people. So gave that a shot, 6 months, got a couple calls from teams, never got tryouts, kept studying for the MCAT. Took it, did pretty well, but not well enough to stay in the States. So I could have gone to Europe or into the Caribbean, but felt like that wasn't the best move for me. So I've always been interested in the human body and working out since I was real little. Came back, my parents were in Bradenton at the time, started working, taking master's degree courses for exercise science, working in a weight room as an intern, got a job with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Realized I didn't like that route either, just long days, very little pay. And then my dad had always hinted at it, and a good buddy of mine had always hinted at chiropractic school. And coming from my parents, Dad says, you should try chiropractic school. No, I don't think that's the answer. So good buddy of mine, powerlifter, he actually owns a practice over in Fort Myers, Dr. Cole Streets, said he met the chiropractor for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He kind of talked to him about it, and we realized that we can incorporate tissue work, we can incorporate all the rehab that we want, and we also learned very good manipulation from the chiropractic standpoint, and it's all within that scope of practice. So check that out. Called the school over, had all the prerequisites for the pre-med program, and got right in and started that direction.
Wow. Amazing.
So, and it's been a great fit so far. We've been able to kind of incorporate our own little unique style of practice from within the chiropractic perspective.
And do you help a lot of athletes?
We do. That's how we started. So our biggest market when we started was CrossFit. Right. When we started our practice back in, what are we now? Would have been 2014 or 2015.
Peak CrossFit.
It was peak CrossFit time.
Wow.
Right. So it was the Rich Fronings, Matt Frazier wasn't really even there yet, but CrossFit was just on the up and up. And from my sporting background and from being a strength coach before that, I could speak the language to the CrossFitters. All right, so I could come in the gym, and our goal has always been, most people have this fear that when they get injured, they have to stop doing something, and they go see a doctor, the answer is going to be just don't do it. All right, that's rarely ever the answer from us. And in my opinion, unless something's broken, if it's falling off, right, and then there's a time to kind of stop and rest. But if it's not any of those things, then the way we start to heal it is we have to continue to move it. So my goal for the patients that come in, especially the CrossFitters, because their goal is to keep working out, is to find a way to get them back in the gym. We might have to modify a few things, but keep them active so that they can continue to accomplish the goals that they want to get to.
Got it. So the answer isn't there's nothing to do. It's, hey, there's some regiments of like training.
Rest is, in my opinion, rest is really the answer.
Rest is the answer.
Rest is rarely the answer.
Rarely the answer. Okay, I think so. Really.
The body kind of wants to constantly kind of move.
Yeah.
All the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you were saying, so chiropractic, so you went to chiropractic school, right? Mm-hmm. And I just want to get at like how it relates to athletes still, and like how, because you're an athlete.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, so how is, what did you learn? How is it connected to like recovery and all these things? Because I just did your session a couple weeks ago before my trip.
Yeah.
And I was going to groom up for this like you, but I couldn't do it.
That's all right.
But soon enough. But anyways, and it was phenomenal, man. You like loosened me way up and then like aligned and all this. I've never done chiropractic before. Forgive me.
That's all right.
And dude, it was unbelievable. So I like to stay active. So how important is it? Like why go to a chiropractor instead of a doctor in the white coats, like you were saying in the dark, with the authority bias?
I mean, most of the time, there's a lot of ways you could spin it, but most of the time a chiropractor is going to be more on the holistic side. And at the core of chiropractic, right, the idea is to optimize the body, to allow the body to express its innate ability to heal itself, right? We're all born with that ability, and for a variety of reasons that gets altered or stops. So part of our job is to find the reason why that's happening and release that or open that up so the body can start to kind of do its job.
Wow.
Right.
Why it's happening, release that, and like actually put the body in a state to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, because you have this natural born ability to heal itself, right?
Wow.
So
it's so true.
That's all dependent upon what the input you're giving your body. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit too. We can talk about it now, but at the core of chiropractic, at least what they teach us in school, the founder D.D. Palmer always said all disease comes from the 3 T's, right? It's traumas, toxins, or thoughts. So traumas being physical, mental, or emotional, right? That's a huge stressor. It's going to affect the body in a number of ways. Toxins, like what you're eating, right? So talking about urban abundance and growing your own food, what you put in your body is what's going to come out as far as how your body's feeling, functioning, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
And then your thoughts, right? So negative energy, negative emotions, that's going to affect everything from posture, the way circulation can happen, just the way your body holds tension, and the way you move, which will affect how you feel.
Wow. Right. The 3 T's.
The 3 T's.
That's profound.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thoughts. And you would think like, oh, it's going to be all these like food, exercise, and it is, right? Toxins is one of those. Mm-hmm. But thoughts, stress, all of these factors are at play with our bodies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you see that every day, right?
Every day. And different combinations and different patients and different people. So
interesting.
I have patients that come in and they can be in extreme pain and they may just talk the entire session with me. Like I don't do a ton of tissue work. I mean, we not even adjust them. We just kind of move them around a little bit and they just start to talk and you learn about family history or old traumas or old incidents that they're still holding on to. And the more they talk about it, you feel the tissues relax and they feel way better.
Wow.
So it's not always just my back hurts. There's a physical reason. There may be a mental or an emotional aspect that happened, whether it was a week ago or if it was 50 years ago or wherever it is that they need to start to get out. So in a way, we are kind of like a physical therapy office from the hands-on standpoint, like traditional chiropractic, adjusting the spine, that kind of stuff. But there's also that mental, emotional aspect that patients will release that also helps them feel much better.
Totally.
Sometimes they don't even know they have it either. There's a number of instances where we'll find a spot that's very stiff or tight and we'll deliver an adjustment and there'll be a huge audible release and the patient will just start to cry uncontrollably. So they're not upset. They're always like, I'm sorry, I don't know why this is happening. Like, I'm not upset. They just continue to cry and they let that emotion out and the body just kind of starts to heal from that aspect.
Incredible. In your office?
In the office.
Wow.
Sometimes it's a short release. I had one lady, she's had a lot of trauma in her past and she cried for almost 45 minutes in the office and then told me when I saw her next week. She felt much better, but she's like, I cried for 45 minutes in the office and then I got in my car and I had to go home and I cried for about the rest of the day. But she's like, I feel so much better.
Dude, you do have a good energy about you where you're a good space holder. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Like and the humility. Mm-hmm. You talk about your practice. I don't know, if it was before or during the combo, but you're so humble with your, presence. So I could see people opening up like that.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the healing process.
It's a psychological aspect of what you're doing too. I love how you point that out. Mm-hmm. So many doctors leave that out.
It's part of that bedside manner.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's hard to balance that because I get it. I run my own business, right?
Yeah.
We're about to start year 10. and you come out of school and it's you got student loans and you got debt and you got to try and cover the overhead and pay money, and in the medical system, any business, it's usually you got to start out with volume to just get money coming in. So I think a lot of doctors or offices get stuck where they just need to see more and more people, and it becomes less about the humanistic side of it and more about just like turn and burn.
These are people.
Rack and crack in the chiropractic world where they lay down, adjust them, and then walk out and more. So
exactly, like the 15-minute sessions, 8-minute sessions. Like
well, I mean, most traditional chiropractic, depending on the model, but I've got friends that run this, and I've been to chiropractors as well. It's come in, hey, how you doing? Lay down. All right, crack. All right, see you later, and on to the next room. So you may see the doctor for 3-5 minutes. That's about it.
Yeah,
so
man.
That's why we structure our office like it is, right? It's new patients around 40 minutes, existing are about 20. We spend the time, like we have relationships with our patients. Like we get to know their kids, their husbands, their lives, what they're doing on the weekends. Like there's a lot of conversation. They're comfortable with us, and I think it just adds to the level of relief or enjoyment that they get out of coming to our office.
You know, I heard one time they said, fall in love with your clients. And like you have an edge over all the other competition. And it's interesting. It's like love your clients is the answer.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. But
treat 'em
talk,
like people, right?
That's it, brother. And talk about that, how you said family oriented, and you want your office to be like that. You have kids, you have a family.
Yeah, I got 2 young kids, almost a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I grew up in the medical system, so I grew up going to doctors all the time. My parents have a lot of friends that are doctors, and most of my experiences, at least in the office or in the hospital system, was just very kind of like cut and dry.
Boring.
Yeah, it can be annoying and boring, and it's frustrating, right? Usually waiting a long period of time, and there's always these big divisions and barriers, right? So you come to a doctor's office, it's these, strict back chairs, it's like quiet, it's awkward. There's big walls and dividers, there's a screen, like you can't see who's behind there. And you never really know what's going on. You're just waiting to be told what to do next. So I never really enjoyed that aspect of medicine.
Like being herded along.
Yeah, you're just kind of being pushed through and never really given a true answer. So we set up our office almost the other direction, right? We're very, very informal. It's a family-oriented atmosphere. Everything's open, right? we have doors on the rooms in case patients need to talk about private stuff. But for the most part, everything's nice and open. They're separate rooms, but the doors are open. Like everything is just... And then, like, we have got kids, right? So we designed the office with everything being that direction because I knew my kids and all the kids in the office were going to run around. So we have a kids' room, which gets used, but most of the time they're running through the gym, jumping with the band, jumping off the turf, all that kind of stuff. So
fun.
It is.
You create a culture that people want to be a part of.
They're not afraid to come in. They feel like they can actually just relax and open up and not have to be concerned about what their kids are doing or they got to be somewhere. It's a very relaxed environment. So we try to avoid that white coat syndrome where people are scared to open up because there's this big doctor that's got all this influence and power is going to tell me something's wrong that I need to be scared of, essentially.
Right. It should be a relationship.
It should be.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just wanted to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Urban Abundance. We help people grow food at home. And if that's something you're interested in doing, or maybe you don't know where to get started, or it's really overwhelming, but you want to grow food, give us a call today. We help you design, install, and maintain your garden. We do fruit trees, we help you with maintenance, and we just really want to make sure you're getting the result you want and you're growing food. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link below and get on your garden design phone call today. Let's get back to the video.
So we talked about thoughts, that was good, and trauma kind of stuck in the body and releasing, which is amazing. How about toxins? Where do you stand with that, and like how important is it? Like I know you have a little food for us going.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there. Obviously, it
you're
takes
fit,
time.
dude.
Yeah.
Like tell people,
a gym at the property at the office. So obviously we promote physical fitness and moving. Like I said, I mean the body's meant to move, right? And I kind of believe that the only way the body heals is through movement, and through movement we get increased circulation, and blood is what brings the healing nature to any injury, right? So when we have an injury, a trauma, toxin, a thought, a tight tissue, you're gonna have some type of compression or ischemia, lack of blood flow, oxygen. So the more you can push blood through that particular area, typically the quicker it heals and the better we feel. Wow. So there's many methods to do that, right? Chiropractic is one. Obviously, at the core of chiropractic, it's addressing the spine and the joints and adjusting or manipulating them to create more motion, which opens up blood flow, opens up nerve flow, and a whole host of other things.
Got it.
But there's other therapies too, right? That's why there's all these holistic or adjunctive therapies, like there's yoga, there's stretching, like we have, there's red light now, there's lasers, sauna and cold tub are options, but all those at the core of it, they're just geared towards increasing circulation.
Interesting.
Right?
That makes sense.
Manipulating tissue, creating inflammation responses, and inflammation is actually not a bad thing. It gets a bad rap all the time, but but it's the first stage in the healing process. So we need that process to happen. The trick or the key is learning how to manage that, right? So typically
Like,
with an injury,
what do you mean by that?
so with an inflammation response, it's like starting a fire. So it starts slow and then it builds. And depending on how you built the fire, how you manage the fire, it either is going to burn really fast and burn out, or you're going to start to build a bunch of smoke and it's not a great fire. So you have to learn how to have the inflammation come in, but also have to learn how to clear it out so you continue to get this healing response happening versus this congestion or coagulation where it just kind of festers and then you get the swelling and the pain and everything else that comes with it.
So how do you do that? How do you manage it?
Depends on the injury, right?
Yeah.
But we just got to keep that circulation going through there. And
Context, right?
Most of,
Pros
context.
will say that. Pros will say, listen, it depends.
It depends. That's always the answer. It depends.
Yeah.
So, but that could be.
And then we're like, wait, what's the answer? It depends.
It depends.
We made a song about that at this one workshop at this point. Yeah, because we thought it was so funny. The guy kept saying that, but he's a legend, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. Yeah. So blood circulation, and if you're not don't have pure blood or like good blood flow or good movement of the body, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah.
We can't have the healing process take effect.
Because when you have an injury, or if you're just stressed in general, everyone knows when you have stress, you start to build tension. The most common area is shoulders and traps and neck, right?
Yes.
And the stress response is the same no matter what type of stress it is. So if it's a physical, if it's a emotional, if it's a mental, you're going to start to resort to that fetal position. You kind of curl in, shoulders come up and forward. We start to drive the neck this direction and kind of fold forward. So
you'll see it physically with people like freaking out, and like I'll do it. I'm like, whoa, what am I?
Yeah, well, if you've ever injured like your knee or your shoulder, right, the response is to kind of just you hold it here, right? Or if you start to have a stressful day, you'll notice by the end of the day, like your shoulders and your neck are kind of up like this. You don't realize it until you start to relax, but everything's driven up this direction. So that response, physical, mental, emotional, all presents the same way.
Interesting.
So the idea is to try and learn that that's the case, right? And then learn ways, whether it's having someone like myself kind of work on you and teach you how to do it, or on your own to start to mitigate that and dampen that response, or learn how to control that to kind of optimize basically blood flow and how the body can kind of like relax and start to heal itself versus this like stop or this congestion that happens, and then you get into this feed forward cycle where it's hard to break that pattern.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is good. And I was thinking about yoga before when you were talking about moving the body. I'm like there's so many healing methods, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
And I love what you just said. You're like, it's either getting like, because yoga, it's the same thing. It's like a practice, right?
It is.
You could go learn it and you could go teach it and you can go practice it or to whatever degree you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I like because you just brought it up, like someone could come to me and learn from me how to do it and go and take it into their own world and integrate it.
And that'd be the idea, right?
It takes away the mysticism, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that approach.
So we try to educate our patients on that a bunch. And one of the questions I get asked all the time is yoga good for me? And the answer is it depends, right? So what's going to be best for you is what you like to do. So my goal is, usually the first time I see somebody, they're in pain, which is unfortunate. I think the beauty of chiropractic care is preventing you from getting to that point. We talked about this in the office, right? It's like your car or like your garden, right? There's a certain level of maintenance that has to happen. You don't have to do it. And if you ignore it, especially with the car, there's going to be all sorts of lights that flare up and pop up. You can put pictures over it, ignore it, pretend it's not there. But at some point, a wheel's going to fall off or the engine's going to go up in smoke, right? So if you do that regular maintenance, whether it's the car or your body, ideally, not that we can prevent injury, but we minimize that risk of something breaking down at some point. So instead of having these kind of valleys of I feel great, now I can't get out of bed, and then I feel great and I can't get out of bed, we try to make that a straight line of feeling pretty good 90-95% all the time. If things flare up, we can help you, or we give you solutions where you're not reliant on a medical system or someone else to try and get you out of pain, or you're just stuck not being able to work or doing daily activities of life.
Big time.
Yeah.
It's like be preventative, like before you get to that pain.
That's the idea.
In the perfect world, right?
I think that's where the beauty of chiropractic is. Again, we're very good at pain management. I mean, if you come in with pain, we're pretty good at getting you out of that pain pretty quick.
Wow.
But the idea or the beauty is to just ideally keep you feeling good year round. And that looks different for everybody. And there's always a fear with chiropractors that once I see one, I have to come back every week for the rest of my life. That's not the case. Like usually as you feel better in our office, we're going to push you out as far as we can. So I have patients that come in for maintenance work sometimes once a week. That's what they like, and that's how their body responds. And I have other patients I don't see for once every 6-8 months, maybe once a year. So it kind of just depends on how you respond to care, what your lifestyle is like, how you're doing things outside of the office, how you're taking care of your body. So all those things come into play or into factor there.
Big time.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
For sure.
So, yeah, we have limited time, but this is so good, man. You can talk about this
Like,
stuff
get
all
back
day,
on that.
blood circulation all day. But
Yeah, I know you want to talk about the toxins though, right? And the food supply.
perfect.
Yeah.
I was just about to, talk
I
about
know I
that.
kind of sidetracked.
Like what
there.
kind of stuff? Because you have such a beautiful family, man. You're coming here and
Yeah.
you're mulching your food for us. Like, let people in on maybe some practices you guys have.
Yeah, so we moved out here like almost 5 years ago, and the idea was to start something like this.
Jupiter
right?
Farms.
Jupiter Farms, yeah.
Heck yeah.
So we've been building this food forest. I've got I don't know how many fruit trees from your business this far, but they're all doing wonderful. That mango tree is. Everyone that comes over is like, "What'd you do to your mango tree?" And I was like, Farmer Jack said to plant it and trim here and trim there, and the thing has just blossomed like crazy. So
I think you have an orange sherbet.
yeah,
Wow. Cool. Yeah, what other trees?
So we
But real
got-
quick, yeah.
mango, avocado, a couple bananas, plantain, Barbados cherry, Jamaican cherry, elderberry, papaya, macadamia nut.
Nice.
Yeah,
What's your kid's favorite?
Jamaican cherry by far.
Yeah, the kids love that one.
Yeah, we just introduced them to the chickens this morning too, so the chickens were going crazy. For 'em.
Okay. Yeah, it turns to chicken food. After like 4 or 5 years, they start just to become, everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. So you guys eat fruits and stuff, and
We try to eat as whole as we can, as organic as we can.
I know they're
there's-
kids, right?
There's
But like,
levels to that, yeah.
maybe talk to someone who's like has kids and maybe wants to know.
Yeah, I mean, well, the old adage, right? You are what you eat, right? So depending on the food that's going in will depend on the outputs that come out. So in our opinion, a lot of issues with kids and attitudes and stuff, at least in my kids personally, in my own opinion, the more processed the food is and the higher the sugar the content, the bigger the meltdowns and the bigger the issues we seem to have throughout the course of the day or the week, right? We'll have sleep issues, we'll have big meltdowns over simple things like, brushing my teeth, putting my PJs on, that kind of stuff. So the less processed food we seem to eat, the less we see those responses, right? Because
The up and down, like
it doesn't give them the up and down, right? So there's not that big sugar rush and sugar crash. Their body can process the food better. There's less digestive issues, less issues in the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. So it's not easy by any means. The biggest thing with that is it's the education. Most people just don't know,
Wow.
right? Right now, society is built on convenience,
Right.
right? You're sold a bill that nothing should ever hurt. Like we have a pill to fix that or a surgery to fix that. Don't worry about cooking. You can just buy this box of food or go out to the restaurant and get the food in 5 minutes, right?
Order
your
it on
life-
Amazon. Order
You'll
the
be here in 3
prescription.
minutes, yeah. It's
Right.
gonna fly through drone and land in your front yard.
Convenience. Big time.
So we're sold a bill like a bill of convenience. Life should be
And
easy.
and by the way, also distracted because that's a good point. Yes, and we're distracted with marketing
Yeah,
and like fed like, hey, buy this when like actually you could go get sardines for $1, and it has not that much mercury and all this compared to
and they're
the
pretty
and
nutritionally
it's
high value fish.
crack and you're golden for the
Yeah.
day. Like
Not gonna lie, it's hard for me to eat sardines.
Yeah,
That was,
I'm about to
at a
say,
young
like-
age, I was ingrained that you don't eat those things. Only the Ninja Turtles eat those on pizza.
I didn't know
So
that.
we have some in the house, but it's a stretch for me to get that far.
Exactly. It's like my apocalyptic supply. No, I'm kidding. No, I just came off the trail, so I brought some up in the woods.
It's a perfect trail.
So it's on my mind.
yeah, it's canned. It's easy.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing: the bears like the smell of fish.
Oh yeah.
So I was worried, like when I was the only one pulling that out at the trail.
Can I start hiking a little bit faster?
Yeah, exactly. I heard one on the trip.
Did you?
But I guess it's pretty common. They say it's like alligators here, whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to roll the dice,
No, those things are scary.
Yeah.
You can't really escape them either because they can climb. So it's not like an alligator. You can jump up a tree and you're safe, but the bear's going to chase you up there.
Exactly. Like you don't want an old angry one, right?
Yeah.
Hungry one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's funny. I'll tell the story real quick. I was on the trail planning to go like 10 miles that day. And then it was the middle of the day, 5-6 miles in. I'm pretty gassed. I'm like tired. I want to be done. I'm like, it's like lunchtime, I'm like, all right, there's a little creek here. There's a little spot to hang out. I might just stay here. I'm done. And get some food and hang out and read. And I there's like the fork to go to that little creek. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go through here. Anyways, I hear like a Sasquatch rustling. And then I'm like, that's a bear. I'm like, he stops. And I like scare him with like because they like make a loud noise. They'll scurry off.
Yeah.
And anyways, he didn't go anywhere. He was just like curious. And I said, screw this. And I left the site and I walked 8 more miles with no water.
There you go.
I was like 3 miles in. I'm like, I'm just going to go to the next water site. It's fine. I asked these guys, I'm like, where's the next water? He's like, dude, you're like 2 hours from water. Like, there's a bear. I'm not going back there.
So the key to motivation and weight loss is to get bit by a bear, right?
Yeah. So anyways, that was a long story to like my first bear experience. I'm from Florida. It was exciting to me.
There you go.
I saw him at national parks and whatever. But dude, I looked on my phone and it said that I was taking like 35,000 steps a day, between 30 and 35,000. I'm like, that's movement.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to heal out of whatever the hell is going on in my body after this.
Yeah, I'm sure you felt great. I mean, other than being scared
Crazy.
from a bear, you probably felt great and slept great that night, right?
I slept great. Felt great. Yeah, regulated. Like, I feel recalibrated, reset, right?
I mean, there's value in retouching to nature, right? There's this big movement now about grounding, which is nothing new, right? It's basically taking your shoes off and going outside.
Yes.
As I grew up like that as a kid, and my kids do that. So, but a lot of people, especially if you're in a big urban area or like a city, like they don't have that option. They probably touch grass with their bare feet maybe once a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're right. We're so blessed out here to be in the farms, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
I love it out here.
Yeah, yeah, me too. It's funny. It's like, it's nothing new, you know. For a lot of times, it's just like reminders, you know. Hey, take your shoes off and walk around outside in nature.
Yeah. Simple things.
Get electric charge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, brother, what's like next for you guys at Performance Wellness Chiropractic?
What's next for us? It's a good question. We're experimenting with a couple different things. We're going to add dry needling to the practice, which will be nice. We've been wanting to do that for years.
What is that?
So basically, it's a version of acupuncture. It's the same needle that an acupuncturist would use, just the intention is a little bit different, right? So from my understanding, like traditional acupuncture is going to treat, you know, kind of whole body, holistic approach. Not that we wouldn't, but it's more like meridian based, and they go kind of off the meridian lines and like homunculus in the ear, that kind of stuff. And maybe for like certain more chronic conditions, dry needling at the very core of it or the base of it is basically going on like I worked with you, right? Like you find these trigger points or these knots in your body, and we take the needle and we stick that needle in the trigger points. There's a couple of different ways that we can use it, but basically using the needle to create inflammation, right? The deeper form of inflammation, because now there's a puncture wound, to start to get that tissue to relax and create a healing response in that area.
Wow.
So it just gives us a deeper avenue to kind of help patients relieve muscle tension, nerve issues, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. Always looking for solutions.
That's on the horizon, and then we're hoping to kickstart a recovery room here. So
amazing.
Yeah.
What is that? Recovery room, like body
we're going to
recovery?
call it recovery room. It could be a circulation room. We're not quite sure how you want to pitch it just yet, but just like our conversation earlier. So we've got a bunch of different methods in the office, from the ice tub or the cold tub and the infrared sauna. We got a couple different electrical stim devices that help increase circulation and force the muscles to contract to improve blood flow. We've got a laser, which helps with the mitochondria production energy, and then also helps with inflammation and swelling and circulation. So the idea is to create a room, or basically give patients the option that while they're in the office, they have access to this, or if they want to come in on an off day and have like a recovery day, or they need to get some movement or some tissue work done, right? They have the access to all that stuff. We can have protocols for them, so they can just kind of come in and use it at their leisure and then go about their day as they need to.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have like memberships for your clients who do want to access those stuff?
We've been talking about it. Right now, it's kind of just fee for service.
A la carte.
Yeah, we do kind of have some packages for like the chiropractic side you can purchase up front, but we're toying with the idea of memberships.
Okay.
My fear with memberships, since we're kind of like a smaller office, is if we reach a certain capacity, I don't want someone to have like pay for a membership and then not be able to access it when they want to use it. So on the moral side of things, the business side of things, that's great because it's just money that's coming in. But the moral side or the ethical side, I don't like someone feeling like they're paying money for something that they can't utilize all the time. So for right now, it's just fee for service.
Amazing. Yeah. By the way, guys, I highly recommend Matt. I don't have any doctor advice or anything, but no, he was amazing. I went to his spot, so please, like, I'm going to put your website below or whatever.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Instagram handle, Facebook, all that stuff.
I think it's key for us to be comfortable in our lives and relaxed and healthy, you know?
Yeah.
So whoever's struggling out there, I hear so many stories of this person's in pain, like my team, like they're, you know, telling me they're in pain. And so anyways, chiropractic, man, it's a solution.
It is. And sometimes people are scared, right? It's different.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about that maybe, because people are scared of I was scared of it.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you were a patient, right? Or you came in the office. So
yes.
Like my goal is always education. So I'll ask multiple times if the patient's okay with being adjusted. Like my goal, if you're not comfortable with it for whatever reason, we have a lot of different methods we can work around. If you don't like the popping sound or you're nervous about a certain area, neck is usually most common. We have ways we can work with you to where we can work around your fear or talk you through it and see if you're okay with it at that point. So my goal is not just to lay you down and adjust you how I think I need to. We got to work with you, because part of the healing process, right, is you or the patient has to be able to relax on the table enough to allow me to help your body start to heal itself.
Yes.
Right.
If
So
they're tightened up,
there's a constant fight there. We can usually make things move, but it's not an enjoyable experience. So I got to get the patient to relax and buy in enough that we can then accomplish the task to allow the body to then do its job.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you always ask before you do
Always
any of
ask.
that.
Yeah, even patients I've been seeing, we've been in practice, October will be the start of year 10. Like patients I've been seeing for 10 years, like, are you okay if I adjust you here? And they're like, yeah, of course. I'm like, I'm always just going to ask. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, by the way, your office, it's in Gardens, yeah?
Yeah.
Like right off PGA. I literally grew up like right around that corner. Prosperity Farms, man.
Yeah, it's a good road for the name, right?
Isn't it wild? Palm Beach Gardens. I think about it, I'm like, what? I grew up in Palm Beach Gardens. But anyways, dude, it's been a pleasure to have you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us out.
Yeah, totally.
And I've learned a ton from you from the whole gardening, abundance. I mean, my yard has transformed in the past 4 years since we've been out here, and largely thanks to the fruit trees and the education you provided. And obviously, I'm here, every other week grabbing mulch, whether it's with the tractor or pitchforking it in there.
That's
some
right.
hard work in, some good manual labor.
Dude, thank you. Yeah, man. It takes a village.
It
Like
does.
that's why it's cool to see you get after it out there.
For sure.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, thanks guys for tuning in. Matt, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Peace, y'all.
Thank you for watching and all your support. Hey, do me a favor. Click the like and subscribe button down below if you haven't already. It goes a long way. We'll see you in the next one.